Hi everyone, is that day and that hour again this week. We are with another episode of E-commerce Growth Show, and it's my honor to invite Raul from Referral Candy here with me. Hey Raul.
Hey, how's it going?
All good. Let me give you the proper introduction, right? Yeah, right, so that everyone could be aware about who you are and a bit about yourself. So Raul, he's the partner manager for Referral Candy, and he's going to discuss with me about the importance of customer retention and loyalty programs to delight your customers. So, Raul, thanks a lot again, and welcome to the show.
My pleasure.
So let's start with the beginning. Every time I'm asking all the guests here the same question: how you've got into the digital marketing landscape at the beginning?
Wow. Okay. So my first role with I guess my first interaction really with marketing was at Referral Candy. So I come from a sales background. My first positions ever were sales related. So I kind of entered the digital marketing space through the kind of like the business development kind of fast lane. So I've learned a lot in the past 4 years at Referral Candy because again, it was kind of a new world for me coming from sales, but at the same time, pretty related.
Perfect. A bit of housekeeping before going further. So if you have questions for Raul, ask them on the chat, because we're gonna get them as a question, and then we're gonna be answering them. So Raul, the topic for today is customer retention. I'm hypnotized about this thing because a lot of e-commerce managers and owners and company owners and marketing specialists are hypnotized about the customer acquisition. So the first part of the relation. And the question for you is, why do you think this happens? I have my assumptions, I have my hypothesis, but I want to hear your take on this.
I mean, I feel like this is just my theory, but I feel like we're always going after the shiny objects. And so, new is always better, that kind of mindset that I feel like drives a lot of people towards, growth at all costs. And sometimes that cost is forgetting about your existing customers. And, there's a lot of importance in paying attention to your existing customers. First of all, because they were willing to, give you a try. They were willing to try your product. They were willing to pay money for it. So, they deserve special attention to that. That's why I always like to say that your best salesperson, and again, coming from somebody that comes from sales, your best salesperson at your company is your customers. Nobody's going to sell your product better than your customers because they were willing to pay for it. And so I feel like it's just kind of like the wrong mindset, in the sense that for a while, customer acquisition was cheap. Anybody could get started and get some sort of results, somewhat, quickly. So again, shiny objects.
Yeah, my hypothesis here is also that Facebook and Google, they made a tremendous job at training people, even free, around how to acquire more customers, how to improve the CPC, the CTR, the XYZ. And the agencies as well that are using Google and Facebook, they are having their revenue stream based on the budgets that they are taking, that their customers are investing into customer acquisition. So that means they have no reason to make their customers spend less on marketing. And that's why that's why e-commerce companies are paying twice or triple the amounts that they would be paying for getting the same customer buying from them again, by not looking at what they already have. I mean, the cheapest channels, which are the email and the direct channels that they actually own, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Exactly.
If we look at, let's say, in the past, tell us a story. Tell us a success story from your experience so far at Referral Candy, when an e-commerce made it with either their referral program, either with their strategy to re-engage their own customers or acquire more by using the word of mouth.
I would say this is not prepared, by the way, but I always have one story that I particularly like because it kind of shows how a company used referral marketing to get started. So typically what we say is that, referral marketing, it's something that you should be looking at after your company has some sort of traction, because it's a numbers game at the end of the day. You need your customers to talk about you. And, in order to have that, you need to have customers making purchases and, kind of having a little bit of movement happening in your store. That's the ideal scenario. But we came across one customer a few years ago that she was entering a space where there was a really, really big competitor. She was making, she's actually started like the company, herself at the beginning. And she was selling toys for toddlers and little kids, so they could sleep better. It was kind of like a sleep, helping toy. I don't have kids, so I don't really understand kind of like the magic behind them, but apparently for parents, it was a big deal. And so she realized that the best salespeople that she could have at her company were moms selling to other moms. And so from the very beginning, again, she had a really big competitor in the space that was taking, pretty much the entire market. She was also competing against big brands, like Toys R Us and all these Hasbro, all these big toy companies. And so she said, okay, well, I'm going to start a little bit of a kind of guerrilla movement in which I'm going to, incentivize my own customers to try it out. And once they're happy with it, I'm going to incentivize them to go out and spread the word. So, it was a great example of being able to capitalize on the fact that people are going to recommend things that are useful for other people. Even if you don't have a referral program in place, people are going to talk about things. People are going to talk about products that they liked, restaurants that they've tried. I mean, think about when was the last time somebody recommended something to you? It's probably, sometime this week. We love recommending stuff to people. So to me, it was really interesting in the sense that she was able to see word of mouth as a marketing channel to get started from scratch. In terms of customer acquisition and also in retention, because after you got that customer, you're incentivizing them to refer more friends, and that's kind of how the whole thing spreads.
Yeah, that's great, Raul. What I'm actually noticing here is that even though referral marketing has started off very, very well. I mean, if we look back, one of the first companies that got into referral marketing was Bonobo. I think there are 11 or 12 years ago, and they've actually launched by using word of mouth, which is the cheapest ever advertising method. However, the market hasn't catch up completely. I mean, I thought that at some moment the technologies will evolve and everyone will be actually diminishing the margin of the e-commerce companies as everyone is referring everyone, so at some point is not paying off. But the referral fees are way less than the advertising cost, because everyone now, it goes to Facebook ads and Google ads and so on. So the question here is, why do you think what is the biggest barrier for an e-commerce manager or owner or marketer to start a referral program?
I would say that referral marketing by itself, it's not gonna save a failing business, or it's not gonna save a product that is not working in general. Yeah. So we always tell our customers that this has to be a component of a customer-centric strategy. So referrals are gonna happen organically. So if you have customers coming back to your store, if you have a kind of like a constant flow of customers, you're going to have referrals because they happen organically. Now, the beauty for referral programs is that you're incentivizing people to talk even more, which is kind of like, that's exactly, the whole, the goal behind Referral Candy. It's incentivizing your customers to talk even more than they normally would. Now, this has to be part of a bigger customer-centric strategy, in the sense that if you have a product that it's not solving a problem, or if you have a bad customer service in general, and people are not happy buying from your store, or if they have a problem, it's not being solved, they're not going to refer. It doesn't matter if you have a good referral incentive. They're not going to recommend something to their friends and family that it's not going to be useful or exactly. And so, and kind of going back to what I said earlier about your customers being your best salespeople, the best thing about your customers being your salespeople is that they don't sound like salespeople. So when they recommend something, it's a trustworthy recommendation. So again, it has to be part of, okay, let's make sure that our customers are happy overall. And if they're happy, let's, put something on the top, which is the referral incentive to make them go outside and talk about us.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you seen something, let's say, these referral marketing campaigns, have you seen them backfire to brands? I mean, is there any kind of risk to activate a referral program from your perspective?
I mean, the risks are always, let's say, for example, people, trying to refer themselves, or people trying to cheat the system. That's always an option. We have like a few, systems in place to, kind of prevent that from happening. Sure. But it's always a risk, obviously. And then I would say, as long as you're running a referral program that you were mentioning something about, kind of like the cost of acquiring a new customer and how it's, very cost effective to do it through referral marketing. If you have your numbers, in mind, and how much you can give to make sure that it's good from a financial perspective, it shouldn't be a risk on that end either. Make sure that the discounts that are given to your new customer, matches with the margins that you can afford. The incentive that you're giving to your existing customers, whether it's to buy again from you or some sort of cash reward, it's also something that you can afford. Again, kind of like keep that in mind in case the referral program explodes, that you can actually contribute to those rewards. And in that sense, something that we typically recommend our customers to do is to offer small rewards often, rather than put in like a big incentive at the end of the road. If you refer 10 friends, you'll get this huge prize. It's better if you give a small prize for every friend that you refer. People will be happy because they're getting something at the end of the day. So
yeah, we have a question from Rashad. He's asking, do you think that having an NPS strategy in place can help you understand which are the best customers you can consider as promoters?
Yeah, exactly. We see customers using that to be able to kind of like target their referral programs more specifically. Some of our customers, actually, what they do is that they have 2 referral programs, in the sense that they have one for like customers in general, like any customer will automatically be invited to join the referral program after they make a purchase, and then they have another one for like kind of like VIP customers. You can put anything under VIP. Could be either people that have like they're influencers on social media, or like extremely happy, or like extremely willing to refer customers. You can put them in that bucket and offer something different to those kind of VIP customers. So yeah, that's just it's an extra level of kind of like quality assurance before you launch. So yeah.
We also have another question. If my store is brand new, do you think I have to wait until I achieve a level of growth to consider referral marketing?
It works best once you have some sort of traction, because you depend on people referring you to their friends. So it's a numbers game at the end of the day. We're talking about NPS. Even if you have a large number of customers saying that they are willing to refer, the difference between people who are willing to refer and people who actually go out and refer their friends, it's a big difference, because it's human nature at the end of the day. Yeah. So you got to account for that. There's nothing bad about starting a referral program early. It's just that it's not going to have the same level of traction if you have 100 orders or like 50 orders a month than if you have 1,000.
Yeah, that makes sense. An important thing here, Raul, around referral programs, and I think it's overlooked, is the fact that the social impact of the promoters is different. So not every customer has the same leverage, and that's why I'm a big fan of customer segmentation. For instance, if you can identify the customers that have the highest social impact, and if you can identify the customers that have the highest social impact and the highest satisfaction rate at the same time, and the highest purchase value. I mean, these three things, right? You have high customer value, high NPS, and high social impact. Then these are your go-to persons, because if they are sharing anything, if they are posting anything, then that means they will be having a huge impact on your business. So you could actually have a strategy around identifying them first and activating this program only for them at the beginning, and giving them disproportionate rewards than giving a small amount of rewards to everyone.
Absolutely. Yep.
I also have my question around this topic. At some moment, we used to have a cloud score for analyzing the social impact. Are you aware about any system that could be used for this purpose?
I personally don't. The one thing that we do have inside of your Referral Candy dashboard, which it can give customers kind of a sense on how they, like who are their top customers and who are the ones that maybe they should be putting in a different bucket for, future collaborations or like some sort of like VIP referral program, is that we give them kind of like a ranking of their best customers, like who are the ones that are referring most friends to the store. And so that's actually helped some of our customers to be able to identify, wait, why is this person referring 10 times more people than the rest? And then when they go and kind of like look at their profiles, then they're able to see, okay, this guy's an influencer. Let's reach out. Let's put him in a different bucket. Let's figure it out if there's some sort of like compensation or some sort of like collaboration that we can do with this person outside of the regular referral program. And that's worked very well, because at first you can't really see who your customer is, but then once you see them kind of like, how they're reacting to your referral program, I mean, you can realize that they're totally different than the other people that are in your program.
Yeah. Tell us about the strangest referral program that you've encountered in your experience.
That's a really good question. Okay, I like one that we had. This is an example from a few years ago. But we had a client that was I think they did like music for music clips for like music producers. So if you're putting together audio projects or video projects, you can download them. And so they had a referral program in which I think it was a subscription. And so they have a referral program in which the advocates were able to get like $10 or $15 or something like that in cash. But their refer friend was getting like a 90% discount on their first subscription. So it's like an insane discount. And it was really smart, because a lot of people that stumbled upon their website and they came across the referral program, they probably weren't music producers themselves or audio engineers, but they knew somebody that might be interested in it. So they were able to grab the referral link and share with their friends and say like, hey, look at what I found for you. So that was one. And then we've had other referral programs in which they are providing free products, or like by referring friends, you can get early access to new product releases, that kind of thing, instead of like the typical get a discount for a discount. But yeah, I'm sure we have really good examples, or like crazy examples. But yeah, those are the kind of ones that I can think of at the moment.
Yeah. One important aspect, Raul, is that is it so obvious that as the advertisements, as the advertising, as the let's say intrusive ads and interruption ads are starting off, and as even Nielsen had this research that 90% of the companies of the customers are trusting their relatives or friends, while only 25% of the customers are trusting in brands' messages and ads and so on. However, the best advocates are your current customers that should be delighted, and that component you've touched it at the beginning of our conversation, but I think we need to emphasize it even more, because too many customers are thinking, oh, we'll reach the network effect, we're going to give this disproportionate rewards, and then the customers will start to promote ourselves. And the reason I'm touching this subject is that not all the customers are looking for the future discount or for some reward points or for some $20 vouchers. They are looking to be first delighted. And this delight phase, I mean, the delight portion of the customer journey, I want you to focus on it, because and all of us should be focusing on this part, because the smaller the company, the least resources they have, and the most required it is for the company to actually provide outstanding positive emotions to their customers before asking them to do an effort to promote their products.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, 100%. And it goes back to what I mentioned earlier about Referral Candy being, referral marketing being part of a bigger strategy, in terms of making sure that your customers are happy. There's one thing about delighting your customers that I kind of wanted to bring it up, because it's something, it's a marketing strategy that I'm seeing a lot of brands doing right now, and I think it's extremely smart and in many different ways, which is building a community around your brand. And you guys are doing this yourselves, by having all this content and by kind of like bringing a community of people that are interested in digital marketing and in e-commerce and putting them together in the same room and discussing things and learning from each other. So being able to build a community around your brand, it's basically a way of understanding what your customers think and how they think and what they like. Your brand should be more than just your product. Your brand, it's what you stand for and what your customers stand for. We have an example of a brand from Singapore, and it's a clothing brand. So extremely competitive landscape. They have to fight with Zara and H&M and all these. When somebody's going to buy something from them, they have to compete in that sense. But they realized that these giants were way too big, and they will never fight in the same market. And so by a combination of different interests from their founders that were also interested in environmental issues, they decided to create a brand that embraces like, we're going to make sustainable clothes that last forever, by contributing to small communities of artisans that are going to make the clothing articles and all that. And so at the end of the day, when you buy something from their brand, you're buying more than just a t-shirt or a jacket. You're buying, you're being part of a community. And so they noticed that from the very beginning, that their customers were not only just buying clothes, they were at the same time, promoting a cause. And so they build a community around that. And so they have like exclusive content that they share with that specific audience of people that are part of their community. They have different activities going on in social media where their customers can show how proud they are of wearing the brand. And at the end of the day, it's a way of making your brand more rich. So when somebody asks like, oh, where do you get that sweater? It's not just, oh, I got it online. It's like, oh, I got it from this company because they're doing all these cool things. It's like, it's giving material to your customers to spread the word. So yeah, it has to be, if you're going to delight your customer, it has to be, further than just, providing customer service and providing a good product, which is obviously the minimum. Exactly. Default. Exactly. It has to be more than that,
Exactly. And I noticed something, that this online thing, where did you buy this online? So the online is your enemy. So if you don't make them recall your brand's name and recall the website that you have, and you're in the online category, you're screwed. So
you might as well be in a marketplace or
Great. So Raul, if we are looking at the whole landscape, we ourselves are advocates for being data-driven, using the leverage of your current customers, focusing at the customer needs and behavior, and providing positive emotions, because we think that the growth e-commerce formula is broken. So we are coming from decades of acquisition marketing, where everything was about funnel and get awareness, interest, desire, action. But what about the first action? So we are looking more right now at a loop, right, and buying habits than a funnel, right? When do you think, or how do you are seeing this transition from one-time customers to lifetime customers, and why? What are the most important things that you think the market needs in order to get there?
Well, I mean, first of all, is acknowledging this, just realizing that the growth system is broken and that you can't do this anymore. I mean, a few years ago, I remember, you will have all these, kind of like gurus, if you want to put it in a way, where they will promise results from, just put $50 on Facebook ads and you'll be able to see results right away. And a lot of people fell for that. And yeah, I mean, it's it's you got to be there and try it out to be able that it's way more complicated than that. It's definitely not going to be cheap. And so I feel like, yeah, a lot of people are kind of, or have been trapped into this kind of like thinking of, you need more traffic, you need more, you need more conversions, you need, more awareness. But at the end of the day, you totally forget about what happens at the end of the funnel. I really like the fact that you mentioned this being a cycle, because that's what we truly believe. I mean, when you look at customer retention, there's really no end. Once you have a new customer, then that's when that's what the real work starts. It's to be able to get that customer to come back, get that customer to talk about your brand to friends and family, be a promoter of the brand. So that's more work, because that requires you to have a strong brand, requires you to have a really good content marketing strategy, requires you to have multiple touch points where you're making sure that your customers are aware of you. So it's probably a combination of, kind of like promising results, for very little investment, or for no effort, to this other landscape in which you have to have a good brand, and you have to have a strong positioning yourself as a brand. So that's probably why. I mean, that's probably why we're like, people are starting finally to realize that, and also it got too expensive. It got way too expensive. So people are, well, I guess by looking at it from the financial perspective, they're noticing finally that retaining customers it's way more effective at the end of the day for the financial, health of your business.
Yeah. And moreover, Raul, at some point you are reaching the ceiling. So there are no more one-time customers to acquire.
There are no more humans that, run out of humans.
Exactly. You can't go to another planet. What's your take on the reward points? Do you think the self-destroying points, loyalty points or whatever, are better than lifetime points that you could use whenever you want?
That's a good question. We have a product outside of Referral Candy. We actually launched a product for brick and mortar businesses that it's called Candy Bar. So following the same kind of brand name, and it's a digital loyalty program for brick and mortar. So for restaurants, for cafes, retail stores, etc. And so we had that conversation about whether we should be able to to leave it up to to customers to redeem it whenever they want, or if we should have some sort of timing. We realized that customers, that at the end of the day, it wasn't really a conversation that we could have ourselves. Kind of like the market said it, and pretty much every single merchant wanted to make sure that that they had some sort of time frame that they could work with, and some sort of deadline. So that's what we've seen. I mean, from our customers, I don't think any of them have some sort of like lifetime period to redeem your rewards. They all cap it at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm asking you this because I have a friend that runs a big e-commerce store, and he sent an email to all their database that because it's Christmas and whatever, they they recall that they have these loyalty points. So I got this as well. And I realized that I can use this next year as well, because there was no use it now because it's going to expire, because 2019 is going to end, or something like that. Yeah. Raul, in terms of the customer lifetime value optimization, and in terms of the let's say methods to improve customer lifetime value, based on your experience, what would you suggest to a company that has a healthy e-commerce store, but they are not growing like a superstar overnight? What would be the suggestion that you would give to such an e-commerce store to improve the customer lifetime value?
Great question. There's probably 1,000 of different things that they could do, 1,000 answers that would apply to this. I'm going to take it to kind of like the referrals and the loyalty space. So one thing that we do recommend our customers to do when they're setting up their rewards for the referral program is to make sure that they're adjusting the rewards to their customers' purchasing behavior. So if you have customers on a subscription basis, it's better to give them a discount on a future purchase than giving them cash. And the other way around, if you have a product that your customers are probably never going to buy for you again, or it's something that they buy like every 2 years, once a year, whatever it is, give cash or give a free gift or give a some sort of gift card or something like that. So that typically tends to work very well, especially if you have a subscription business. If you are incentivizing your customers not only for making purchases, but for taking a step forward and going out and telling their friends about it, now they know that they're going to have, their next box for free. That's actually something that one of our customers do, by the way. They have a subscription box of clothing items. And what they do is that if you bring a friend, they'll just give you another box. So the next month you'll get 2 boxes. So that's gonna incentivizing people to stay, because they'll be so happy that they're getting a gift that they're not gonna have an extra reason to go with the competition. Same if we give them a discount on a future purchase for taking action and talking to friends and family about the brand. So that's a very easy way in a sense to make sure that our customers are staying with you, their churn rates are low, and at the end of the day, the customer that probably costed you, if you acquired them through our referral program, that means that didn't cost you that much to acquire them. You're basically everything you're gonna get after that's gonna be free. So it's an easy way of keeping them incentivized to keep buying, but at the same time keep talking. So
yeah. Raul, in terms of if we are getting into the current context, have you seen a different behavior at the shop owners or at the customers of your shop owners, considering the current crazy conditions, challenging times, etc.?
We've heard them all, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I saw these stat the other day. There has been 2 stats about e-commerce in the past few weeks that have really surprised me. One of them is that apparently we've reached, at least in the US, we've reached the level of e-commerce engagement that was predicted for 2025. So we fast forward 5 years in 6 weeks. It's crazy. And then the other one was that I think Shopify mentioned that, I don't know if this is still true, but by mid-April, that we're having Black Friday and Cyber Monday traffic every single day in mid-April. So, again, that kind of tells you that people. And one more that I really liked is that most online purchases now are happening Monday and Tuesday instead of Saturday and Sunday. So you can get from there that people are starting to buy online the same way that they kind of like go to the supermarket. It's becoming the norm and not like the fun thing that you do in the weekends and browse stores and buy from there. So what I'm seeing is exactly what you were saying earlier in the show, is that a lot of store owners, at least from what we're seeing on our side, a lot of owners are realizing that growth at all costs, it's no longer a valid strategy to grow your business, and they're starting to look into customer retention options. And so, I mean, we've seen an increase in number of merchants using Referral Candy because they exactly wanted to do that. They realized, wait a minute, I have this pool of customers that I've probably never reached out, never care about, never even thought about asking for a referral. But that's a very easy or a very cost-effective way of acquiring new customers. Will I make sure that these guys are also, incentivized to come back? Yeah. So with probably, the same way that I don't know when it was predicted for the e-commerce industry to realize that growth at all costs wasn't valid anymore. But we've definitely, fast forward a few years on that as well.
Yeah. Also, a thing to add here, Raul, is that a lot of companies right now are acquiring new customers. There's a flood of new customers which are not that acquainted with buying online. They have higher expectations because they are used to have this human touch. They are seeing people. They could go there. They could even talk with someone, which here means go to the chat box and wait for an email, whatever. And one important aspect is that the onboarding right now needs to be incredibly well done, because if you have customers that are buying their first, placing their first orders on other shops than Amazon, let's say, they have those kind of expectations either from the bricks and mortar shops, either from Amazon, then that means their level of expectations will be here. And if your experience is here, the chances for them to come back are pretty low. So maybe the paradox of this flood of new customers is that they could come back, they could come right now, but they could never come back if you are offering them a crappy experience instead of at least a decent experience, not to say a delightful experience.
Right. And I mean, that's one of the things that you can see, kind of like the human touch of the small business. Like going to a small restaurant where, the owners come to your table and say, hey, how was my food? How did I do it? Was it good? That level of like personal touch it's something that it's a little bit harder to replicate in the online world. So that's why, again, kind of going back to what I mentioned earlier about the brand, showing who you are, showing what you stand for, what your brand's all about. It's a matter of saying, look, we're just not products. Like, we're not just selling stuff on a website. We are a company with people behind, and this is why we're selling. This is why we're here. This is what our brand stands for. So it's one of them. It's one of the things that you can do to kind of like show, hey, there's a human behind you. Like we still have a screen in the middle, but there's somebody behind you. We're still a small business, like the ones that you will find on your town. So,
yeah, Raul, if we are to focus on your existing product, I have a question related to how can I track the lifetime value and the revenue impact of a referral system like Referral Candy. So can I look at this kind of data into Google Analytics, or you have a dashboard to report this kind of data? Can I see what's happening with a cohort of customers that I haven't onboarded with this referral program, and the cohort of customers that has been onboarded with this referral program, and to see their recurring revenue in the future?
Yeah. So answering the first question about the Google Analytics and the dashboard, yes. So you can. That's actually the first step that we show our customers when they log into their Referral Candy dashboard. The first thing they're going to see is revenue. It's how much revenue they've made in the past month, and then after that, we'll go and kind of like other details like how many store visits you've gone, how many emails have been sent, how many clicks, etc. But the first thing that we want them to look at it's revenue. It's how much money they've made, and actually the second number that we'll see is what's the percentage of referrals versus the total. So how many of what percentage of your total sales last month came from referrals, which kind of gives you a sense of, okay, I know how much referrals cost me. So I can, if like 5%, 10% of my purchases are coming from referrals, I know that I have, a higher profit on those than compared to other channels. And then in the other sense of like kind of like being able to identify customers that are one cohort or another, I'm not sure if that's something that we can that it has right away, but it's definitely something you can see in your store. I mean, you'll be able to kind of see customers that are coming from your referral program, and your own. It's not on the Referral Candy dashboard, but it's on your e-commerce platform's dashboard. You'll be able to see customers you've acquired one way or another, and kind of run your analysis there.
Okay. Looking at the from a higher perspective now, Raul, where do you think the market is going? Are you betting on a more let's say fragmented market where smaller and medium companies are going to take over, or do you think the market will have only a few players like I don't know, Alibaba, Amazon?
I mean, I don't want to make a prediction, and that's going to have me for the next few years. But something. But
we're back in 2020.
Remember what you said? You were wrong. No, but I mean, one thing that it's crazy to me. It's the growth of Shopify in the past few weeks. And also it's interesting to see how Shopify has been moving in the past few years, with the release of the fulfillment network, the shop app that they rebranded a few weeks ago. At the end of the day, I mean, customers that are on Shopify versus customers that are in a marketplace have way more control over their customers and kind of like their customer data than they do in a marketplace, which is none. You don't even have access. You don't even know who your customers are. So there's very little that you can do when you're in a marketplace. So I think there's probably going to be some sort of crib in terms of e-commerce platforms. We might see a crib in the next few years, but at the end of the day, as long as more brands are starting their own store and being able to kind of control their own customers, I think that will be a good thing for everybody, because it means that we're going to have a more fragmented marketplace. At least that's what I would like to see, is being able to, brands kind of move into their own business, especially now, like, maybe take advantage of the fact that a lot of people that didn't buy online before are doing it now, or people that used to buy online like once a month, now they're doing it pretty much every week because they need to get stuff to their doorstep.
Exactly.
Use that as a way of, kind of launch your brand, not just your product that you're competing with 1,000 other products in terms of pricing. But yeah, moving into like, okay, let's have more control over our customer base and things that we're discussing earlier. What can we do after the purchase? If you're in a marketplace, the kind of like the post-purchase experience is off your hands completely. So there's really nothing that you can do there.
Unfortunately, a customer journey is not something that we're smaller and mid-sized companies are pretty good at, while Amazon and all the other guys are doing this extraordinary. They are having all the if systems ever. If this happens, if that happens. So that's the power of forward thinking. So Raul, is there anything that I haven't been inspired enough to ask in this session today?
I don't think so. I think it was a really. I just looked at the time. I didn't know what time it was, so it just flew. So it was really good.
Yeah. So the last question for you is, what's the advice that you would like to give to your younger self in order to grow as a happy man, right? Because our latest conversion as human beings is to be happy, I think.
Wow, that's a pretty deep question. We might need another
e-commerce growth show here. Also, it's not only about the e-commerce, but also the people behind e-commerce, right?
Okay. So if we're gonna talk about a kind of like personal experience and like personal well-being, something that I actually tell my friends when they're like looking for a job or something like that, I tell them to don't look for jobs, look for companies. So that's kind of like the approach that I follow when I first reach out to Referral Candy 4 years ago. I liked it. I liked the company, and I was like, well, I want to work here. So so again, that's kind of like finding your place to work for, rather than, what are you going to do once you get there, kind of like what's your position going to be like. I think that's something that's a piece of advice that I will have given myself, long before I joined Referral Candy. But yeah, it's more like, make sure that the brand that you're going to get involved with, or like, the company, because at the end of the day, work is such a huge part of our lives that you got to be happy with what you do. So make sure that you're working for something that you would stand for.
That's excellent. So we've had Raul all the way from Singapore, right? So that's where you're based. It's almost at night over there, I believe. Yeah.
Oh, actually, so our company is in Singapore. That's where our headquarters are. Well, everybody's remote now, but
in Spain, right?
Yeah. So I'm in Spain. Yeah, I typically, in a normal year, I will go to Singapore once, twice a year to see the Referral Candy family. But I was happy to go there in January, so not so long ago. But yeah, hopefully sometime this year we'll be able to make it back there.
Perfect. So Raul, thanks a lot for being part of E-commerce Growth Show. Next week, same time, same place, we're gonna have Linda Bustos all the way from Canada. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you next week.
Bye.